EQA Unit 1, 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3. 3.1 asks you to explain the procedures for externally monitoring and evaluating internal quality assurance arrangements and practices. 3.2 asks you to interpret the requirements for externally monitoring and evaluating internal assessment arrangements and practices. And 3.3 asks you to evaluate different techniques for externally sampling evidence of assessment, including the use of technology. So let's look at 3.1 first. So explain the procedures for externally monitoring and evaluating internal quality assurance arrangements and practices. So how do you, as an EQA, check that the IQA is doing a good job? Well, you'll start off with checklists from your awarding organisation or who you're working for, and you'll review internal communications and external communications with centres. You'll normally check systems and processes first prior to sampling, or this could even be a slightly different role within the EQA. So some awarding organisations will ask one EQA to look at processes and procedures as a whole for the organisation, and then different EQAs to look at sector-specific assessment and clarification. So after that, you'll need access to systems and files. So you'll be looking for things like statistics, outcomes for learners, centre reports, and staff personnel details. So the ePortfolio system, if the centre uses it and gives you overarching access, will allow you a lot of information to learn very quickly about that centre. You should be able to see sampling plans or processes on an ePortfolio, and if not, they'll be paper-based and you can ask those to be sent over to you. You might even be able to see OTL reports or IQA reports on the system as well. Another useful way of gaining information is by speaking to the IQA or lead IQA, and of course assessors and learners within the centre. You'll need access to the CPD files of all the assessors and IQAs within the centre, as well as the complaints log, which can be very eye-opening once you see it, and may give you an indication of how the centre's doing. Of course, appeals, reasonable adjustment and special consideration, policies and procedures need to be followed, and they should be recorded as well once those systems and processes have been used with learners. Once you've looked at the centre as a whole, you'll go into more detailed sampling as an EQA. You'll sample specific learners and you'll look at how they've been assessed and IQA'd. So what you might do as part of your planning is decide which learners you're going to see, and you might say pick learners from specific employers or those with certain grades. You'll review the portfolios, whether they're hard copy or e-portfolio, and look at the evidence that's contained within them, and check for accuracy of marking and mapping. You might want to observe assessors live or on Teams or Zoom and complete observations of teaching and learning. Or you could watch a recorded event. Witness statements of an observation are useful as well. And it's a good idea to do a question and answer session with the assessor, the learner and the IQA as part of your process. Obviously check learner work. Learner engagement can be a reflection of the skills of the assessor, obviously not always, and the management team and the passion of the centre. Check work completed against the course specification or apprenticeship standard and see how engaged you feel learners are. It could be an indication of the quality of teaching and learning. You can also look at reviews and progress against time on programme. Have a look at any overarching reports you can obtain on the centre processes and procedures, or previous EQA reports or Ofsted reports. You'll want to look at the staffing levels, CVs, staffing availability and qualifications, and any suitability reviews that have been conducted by the IQA for sector-specific teaching. Complete a CPD review, and you're likely to complete an initial risk assessment of the centre and report on this before delving into learner files. Different AOs will have different methods of working, and they'll give you your own checklist to go through as part of the role. Okay, so looking at sampling then, you'll need to review sampled as well as non-sampled files. So those the IQA has looked at and those the IQA has put down as a non-sample and not checked. Some centres believe that non-sampled files cannot be checked by the EQA. This is unlikely to be the case, and the EQA can pick from whatever sample they wish. Look to see if sampling completed by the centre meets the sampling strategy submitted when they're approved as a centre. So say, for example, the centre said they would check 10% of all learner files. Check that that is actually happening and at least that amount is being met. Look for trends or mistakes by the centre or the employer or the assessor. You might find that one assessor's work is not as strong as another assessor's work. Also look for copied work from learner to learner, or work that doesn't look authentic, or even work that's been produced by the assessor rather than the learner. And look out for AI or internet copied work. How seriously does the centre take plagiarism and the use of artificial intelligence? 3.2 asks you to interpret the requirements for externally monitoring and evaluating IQA arrangements and practices. So this very much depends on the industry or sector you work in. So most EQA processes will check basic areas such as health and safety, equality and diversity. And also recording and reporting is likely to be the same no matter what sector you work in. Different EQA organisations will oversee different qualifications and different types of qualifications. For example, Ofsted will look after schools and apprenticeships, and Ofqual may look after examination boards and endpoint assessment organisations. One area that you might want to look at, particularly if you're working in apprenticeships, is the SAR and QUIP, which is the Self-Assessment Report and Quality Improvement Plan. All areas will look at benchmarking and standardisation. As a priority, look at the assessment plan or course specification to know what the particular arrangements are for whatever area you're EQAing in. So let's look at technology and EQA. So the e-portfolio has transformed EQA assessing and IQAing. It means there's instant feedback and real-time results, and the statistics on a lot of e-portfolio systems such as Learner Progress, and you can pull reports to show how many learners are behind progress, how many are ahead of progress, and what particular areas lots of learners haven't completed yet. It helps with communication because you can copy and paste in emails into the review section, and you can also upload recordings from Teams or Zoom, for example. Gives you a fantastic audit trail, so as an EQA you know exactly what's gone on, and it saves an awful lot of time in that EQAs can often work from home or work remotely to review centres. Video conferencing helps assessors, IQAs and EQAs with Teams, Zoom, GoToMeeting, all easy to use and can be done from anywhere. It saves time for the IQA and the assessor in terms of setting up appointments with the EQA, and saves the EQA going out and saves on travel. These can also be recorded and uploaded, and they help with remote standardisation meetings where you can even have breakout rooms and chat boards. Plagiarism tools are important in recent times with the development of AI, and they can be very helpful in checking for plagiarism. There's some useful checkers here such as Turnitin, which can be helpful. Self-assessment tools are fantastic and have helped with technology such as quizzes and workbooks. Quizzes can be administered online, they're self-marking and can even send the results direct to the learner, and they can also analyse which learners are getting which questions right. This helps with errors in marking, and whilst the initial setup is quite challenging, once that's done, it's there until it goes out of date. So from a technological perspective, we've got things such as email, e-portfolio, remote EQA, recorded PDs and webinars, mobile and smartphones, social media and YouTube, reminder systems, Zoom and Teams, online assessment tools, functional skills such as BKSB, and recording and reporting analysis of learner data. So the ePortfolio really has revolutionised EQA and given easy access whenever the EQA would like to access resources and portfolios. It's a great system for reminding and is very supportive at all levels. So for your assignment for Unit 1, 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3, please complete the workbook and upload to your ePortfolio referencing the Anne Gravels text or any other information that you research. Good luck with your assessment, and here's our email address if you need it.